My business is your business. It's all up in my lady business with me, Mary Nisi. All right, welcome to All Up in My Lady Business for today. I'm very excited to have my friend Amelia Forczak on the pod today. Hi, Amelia.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, Amelia is a New York Times bestselling ghostwriter and founder of Pithy Wordsmithery. She's worked on more than 100 books, including multiple national bestsellers, and her proposals have secured six-figure advances for authors ranging from Fortune 500 executives to serial entrepreneurs. I'm one of those. I'm a
Yay.
serial entrepreneur. So thanks for coming. I think it's so cool that you're a ghostwriter. I didn't know you could admit you were a ghostwriter. I thought that was like a secret job you couldn't tell people about.
You're bringing up a great point. I realized that was an issue from the very beginning when I started doing this. And I thought, how am I going to market myself if it's a secret?
Uh-huh.
So from the very beginning, I was like, we need to do more than just ghostwriting so that clients are excited to talk about other things we've done for them. And we need to make it cool. And we need to have a platform so that when we do want to talk about projects, it's a benefit to clients because so many people see it. So, but yes, you're right. It normally is something where a lot of ghostwriters don't realize that, and then they can't even talk about the projects they work on. It's a travesty.
You're like, my name is Stephen King, but I'm a ghostwriter. Like, just fooling people that way. So how does one become a ghostwriter? Like, did you go to school were you a ghost for grade school Halloween? Like, how does this happen?
It's one of those jobs that you never realize exists when you're a kid. I always wanted to write books, and I went to school for journalism, but all the newspapers were consolidating when I was graduating college, and I didn't know what to do to write, so I went into marketing, and I just happened to have my CEO get a book deal, and it sort of just fell in my lap where he wanted to have this book, and for marketing, we said, yeah, that'd be a great idea. And he didn't have time to write it, so I wrote it, and I fell in love with it, and I realized that this is a job.
So when you wrote it, what was the book about? The guy?
It was a business book. And so it was an HR consulting firm. And we had a ton of data from employee surveys on what makes people engaged in their jobs. This was back in like the 2000s when everyone was talking about employee engagement. And so the book was on that. It was like the top 10 things that make people most engaged in their job. And it It was really useful as a business book because it's like top 10 things. Number one's recognition. It's like, how do you get your employees to be happy? You just tell them they're doing a good job. It's like not a novel concept, but it's something where most people are like, oh yeah, I should do that more.
I think you need to hear that as a business owner too. Like you get so wrapped up in the like minutia and bullshit that you forget that the people that are driving you crazy are also like the ones that are making your life possible. And I also have this like dumb Gen X thing where like I don't need praise and I don't want to give praise. Like it's not in my nature. I don't like being complimented, and I can't compliment other people.
I have a little bit of that too, where I'm not like super praise driven. But like some of the advice from the book was like, schedule it into your calendar where you're like, oh
Mm.
yeah, if it doesn't come naturally, you have a reminder, or it's like, thank 3 people today.
So when you were writing this book, is it all like basically the data and then you wrote it?
Yeah, it was funny because a lot of the content was already written. That's something that a lot of aspiring authors don't realize. When you have was it quote unquote thought leadership, where you're an expert in something, you've probably been producing content on that thing for a while. And so our company
Hmm.
had blogs and white papers and case studies and all this stuff that as a marketing person I had written for the past like year or two.
Hmm.
And so you can take what you have and see how that fits into a book. And sometimes that cuts the workload back a ton. Like I think in this case,
Hmm.
half the book was already written.
So do you get royalties from that, or does that just go straight to the person who wrote it?
That's another great question. So authors get royalties if you get it in different ways. But I think the biggest thing to think about for books is that the kind of book that I do at my company is really more of a marketing piece for people's brand and business. And so they're not really trying to sell a million copies of the book. they're trying to sell a decent number of copies and then use it to get more paid speaking engagements or get more clients for their business and be recognized as an expert so that they can sell something that costs more than the book. And sometimes those speaking engagements pay like 15 grand, 20 grand, more than that. And so if you can sell those, like, let's focus on that instead of selling a bunch of copies where you're making, I don't know, $5, $10 a copy, which is a lot to make for a copy. Um, and you'd only get that money really if you like are self-publishing it. But for me, I don't do the royalties. I do a flat fee because unless the book sells a ton of copies, I'm probably not going to get that much from royalties,
Yeah.
right?
I'm actually I follow a couple of, like, writers on Instagram, and I'm like, I pay for some of their, like, Patreon type things, so I get kind of a behind the scenes, like, look at, like, what it's like to be a writer, and, like, they're all like, "Yeah, there's no money in it." And it's like, then why are people doing like, there's like, even authors who've, like, written a lot, and I mean, I'm sure there's some writers that obviously make a ton of money, but, like, if you're writing, like, a self-help book on recovery or something, like, I don't know where the money is in that. Maybe there is no money in
Yeah.
recovery.
It's it is an interesting it's an interesting topic, right? Because I think that there's this sort of like romanced idea that you'll write a book and make a bunch of money from royalties. And sure, some people do that if it's like a national bestseller where it people are consistently buying it for years. Um but it's really hard to do that. And so whenever I'm talking to aspiring authors, I always talk about what does success look like for the book? Like, what do you want it to do for you? And that's how we figure out if there's an ROI case for it. Maybe it's a passion project, right? Maybe it's a bucket list passion project thing or a legacy thing. But if you're doing it as like an actual business investment from the beginning, we start and we talk about that and we're trying to help people figure out if the book will help get them to where they want to go.
So what made you so you went to school for journalism. Like, how did you what kind of writing were you doing when you were younger? Like, what got you to even major in journalism in the first place?
Yeah, I've always wanted to write books. I've always been a big reader. My mom was a librarian when I was growing up. I think I was just good at writing, and I didn't really know what to do with that. To be honest, like author's not really like a major in college, right? And so
Mhm.
um, I don't really do fiction. I've always kind of like been interested in that and doing creative writing. And I remember back at Michigan State, it was like I couldn't even take those classes. Like it was like a totally different track than the one I was
Mm,
on. And so anything fiction just feels like super foreign to me. But
interesting. So, like, what would you write when you were younger for, like, pleasure? Or did you write for pleasure?
I used to make a newspaper when I was really little. I think I just wanted to charge my parents money for something.
I mean, and then the second you get into, you graduate, then all the newspapers start disappearing.
Yeah. Yeah, my uncle was, he was a sports reporter for a long time, and I remember around the time I was in college, he was starting to do shorter and shorter pieces and getting hired for doing, like, tweets and stuff like that instead of the articles, and, like, it just sort of was changing, and I guess it was good to see that while it was happening because I'm like, "Huh, where is this going in the next 10 years, 20 years? Do I wanna be a part of this? Do I wanna try to do something else?" So,
You could get paid to be there would be there your uncle got paid to write tweets
but yeah.
for
Yeah.
other people or for himself?
He
Like,
was
would he, like
working no, for, like, the AP, for CBS, for, like he followed, or he was the reporter for the San Francisco 49ers for, like, years and years, and so he's doing, like, big sports news. Um, yeah, it's a weird industry.
and whittling it down to a tweet?
Yeah.
Like, he whittled yeah, that's crazy.
Well,
It's like I don't
many
understand how the
tweets.
true, but just the idea that someone who's, like who was the staff writer for the 49ers or whatever, like, also, like, has a side hustle of, like, getting paid to tweet. Like, that's I just it's like the economy. I don't understand what a little kid wants to be when they get older anymore. Like, I keep asking my son, like, what he wants to be, and it's like I can't get anything out of him. And then I'm like, kind of like, good for him. He's not thinking about capitalism this early on in his life.
Yeah. It's crazy just how, consumer behavior changes, right? People don't really read the newspaper like they used to. They're reading their phones, and so that's changed, and who knows what's gonna change by the time our kids are, in their 30s.
I know. I mean, the world is I mean, I don't think the world's gonna look like what we're looking at now.
No,
Like,
I don't either.
Like, I just feel like I mean, everything is moving so quickly and everything got broken, and when it gets put back together, it's not gonna look the same, and I don't know, I actually think it's a good thing, like, I think it's we need something new to kind of help us out with what's happening now because I think everyone's just sort of, like, walking around in circles trying to figure out, like, how to live through the world right now. Like, are you
Yeah.
finding that, like, in the content of the books that you're trying to write? Like, can you see, like, a through line of what? Because it seems like you're writing mostly, like, businessy
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Um,
Right
what do
now,
you
there
see? Do you see any, like a recession indicator or something like that?
that's always tricky, right? I think the industry's changed a lot for authors. The thing about publishing is with AI, it's a lot easier for more people to have books. It's more accessible. So even if people are just using it for editing or they're using it for research or anything like that, it's making it easier for people to have books. And I think that's a good thing. So I'm definitely seeing that change. The publishing industry's like totally been uprooted, right? Like self
Mhm.
publishing has grown exponentially. And now there are all kinds of weird branches where you're like, is it self publishing? Is it hybrid publishing? Is it a traditional publisher's arm of self publishing? And what does that even mean? It's all confusing. So I think like the business model is very wonky right now.
What does that mean? What is the difference between self-publishing and, you know, legacy publishing or whatever your
Yeah.
what the other options are for that?
So self-publishing is supposed to be that you keep all of your money and you keep all of the control and you don't need anybody to tell you, "Yes, that's a great idea. You can just go do it yourself."
Mhm.
Um, and then traditional publishing is where you pitch your idea to someone, they see if it's a good idea and they can make money off of it. They give you a book deal and then the money flows through them. So they own the copyright to the book. They make the money from the book and then they pay you a royalty. And then hybrid is somewhere in the middle, but there's no standard really for hybrids. And so they're supposed to make the book better and they're supposed to help with getting it out there with distribution or publishing. But sometimes people are paying a big chunk of money up front for that. Sometimes they are getting a good chunk of royalties. Sometimes they're getting very little. It just totally depends.
So they're probably so basically it's like the book is a means to some kind of other end.
Yeah, absolutely. The book, I mean, most of the clients I'm working with are using the book as a one piece of their marketing overall.
So you mentioned AI. So you're pro AI. You think AI is a good thing with the world.
I actually love AI. I mean, like, obviously, it's also awful in a lot of ways, um, but I like that it's helping people, it's empowering people to write more, and I've been doing this for, like, 15 years, and there are so many people that have really great things to share with the world that just cannot get it on paper. They can't. Like,
Mhm.
whether it's, like, no time or ADD or they're just not good at writing, whatever it is, but their story needs to get out there. So, and ghostwriting is expensive. It's so time consuming that it can be a really expensive thing that a lot of people can't afford. So, if there's a tool that helps people get more words on paper, then I'm all for that because then from there you can work with a human editor to make sure that everything's accurate and that it sounds like you and to give it that human touch. But sometimes people can't even get it to the point where we have anything to review.
Mhm. And so when that happens, you're okay with someone giving you like a big pile of AI slop that actually has all their data in it, and then you guys can go in and like carve it and turn it into something?
So, interesting question. The AI slot piece, I have heard about writers and editors charging more for that, where if they're like, oh, no,
Mhm.
no, wait, this wasn't even you, this was AI. We're going to charge 20% more because it's more work. Um, That I'm trying to avoid the AI slop. Actually, I'm working with a developer right now to help put together a tool that will run on Claude to help people use AI right. Because I think if you go in there and you give AI crap, it will come back with more crap. But if you have a really good outline for your book and you have a really solid framework and it's telling you like, okay, you need a personal story here. Here's why you need it. Here's what the
Mhm.
personal story should do. The next thing you're going to do is talk about how that personal story ties to the idea of the chapter. and then the idea of the book overall. And then it just walks them through it. And so if somebody can follow that, and then they even like just brain dump into the content, into the tool and have it edit, I think that would get us in a way better spot than just people open-ended working with ChatGPT.
Mhm. Um, Interesting. So, yeah, because
Tell me
I mean,
your
especially
thoughts. Like, I know you're interested in writing a book. Like, what do you do you feel like, not to put you in the hot seat, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
no, do it. Put
yeah.
me there. I'll
Yeah.
take it.
What what are the reasons why it feels hard or time consuming?
To write a book?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right in one hand because I think that throughout the last 21 years that I've been in this industry and ancillary other things I've been doing, I probably do have at least one book, probably more than one book in like the amount of stuff that I've like written or created or whatever. And I think you're right. I think maybe if I were to actually do an inventory of what I have, it probably would be at least something that somebody else could help me figure out what it means.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because I've written, website copy and public spoke and I've got, tons of those things. And I have an online lab that I taught DJs how to grow and scale their businesses that I have done absolutely nothing with. So I probably do have a couple, two, three books inside of me. But it's interesting the AI of it all. It's like, it's like the devil on both shoulders. You're the devil and the angel, like, because I feel whenever I whenever I have tried to use chat, like where I like brain dump my ideas and I'm like, put this into like a podcast script. It comes out so weird, and it probably has something to do with like how I'm asking. I know my prompts are terrible. They're like, "Hi, do this," and then they do it, and I'm like, they do exactly what I asked, but that's not what I wanted, and it's like AI is like a mirror of yourself in many ways. Like, you said if crap goes in, crap comes out, so if you're just putting in like a bunch of scattered ideas, there's probably not a whole lot of a through line in there.
Yeah, it's AI can go sideways, and so you want to be able to use it, but there should be guardrails and more instruction around that. And it kind of seems like that needs to come from somebody who has a ton of expertise with writing books or having the platform guide you through it, because if you're trying to use AI to do something that you've never done, it's so hard to figure out how to do that. Like I'm trying to I'm doing a gut renovation and trying to design a kitchen and bathroom right now. I get the designs back and I'm asking AI. I'm like, "How else would you design this? And is this good or bad?" I'm like, this is a waste of time. Like it's telling me crazy ideas, but I can't tell if they're completely crazy or like I
Mhm.
yeah. I'm like, I need to talk to an expert.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like that's sort of the problem is that we think like AI will kind of dazzle us. Like I remember when it first came out, I didn't understand what it was, and I was at a party and people were just like putting queries in just to see like what it came out with. And I said put the to be or not to be speech into plain English. And it's like I couldn't believe how good it was. And then it was like make it sound like a little kid wrote it. And it was like I had all the right themes and was just saying it like a little kid would say it. And that to me was terrifying because, I was thinking to myself, oh gosh, that'd be so easy to just plagiarize things or, but then there has to be this. I feel like that's where we're like in the backlash of it right now because our lack of critical thinking skills is what's kind of gotten us into the problem we're in right now anyway. And I feel like I'm worried that AI is going to take away our ability to do critical thinking.
Yeah, yes, that and many other things, right? Um,
Yeah.
I think
Water.
that yeah, all of the AI experts right now are talking about the need to slow things down, and I
Hmm.
think we should listen to that for many reasons. Yeah, the critical thinking thing is definitely part of it, and also just like we don't know where it's going to go. And so being able to use it for things that save us time, but not having it turn on such a crazy thing that we're like opening a can that we can't like
Yeah.
put it back, you know?
So when if somebody who I have a feeling there's probably some people listening who are like, it's never occurred to me to write a book. Do I have a book in me? Could I write a book? And I guess like, is it a thing where anybody could write a book, or is there like, you know, like who are ideal candidates to like write a book that you'd be excited about working on?
Yeah. Um I think having an interesting perspective is always a good like, being an expert and having an interesting perspective is kinda like the starting point. We work with people who are sort of, like, trying to step into something new, and that's always a little bit challenging to write a book for them because it feels like we're building the plane as we're flying it, where it's like,
Mhm.
"Wait, you've never talked about this, you've never done a keynote on this, you've written blog posts on it." It's like developing that perspective takes some work. So I think that's always a good starting point if you feel like you might wanna write a book, is to, like, flex that muscle and start posting a little bit on social or do some videos or put together a presentation on it. Like, just put together some shorter form content on whatever that thing is so it can start to feel a little bit more solid. Um, and when you have a really strong it's almost like when you know who you are, then you're ready to move forward with the book. If you're still kinda like, "Well, how do I feel about this?" That really does make it a lot harder to have it, come through and be strong in a long format.
Yeah, I can imagine. Have you ever, like, had somebody where you started writing the book with them and you're like, "This is a terrible idea. This person has no business writing a book," and you had to finish it anyway?
I can usually spot that pretty close to the beginning, and it's not always like, "Oh, it's a terrible idea. This is stupid. Everyone's gonna hate it." It's more like, "Where what is this going to do for you, and is it worth the time and money to do it?" You know? Because it's you want people to read it if you put the time and effort into it, and so it's sort of like setting up that platform in advance. Um, so that's always a big thing. But yeah, I mean, we turn people away if they have crazy ideas about medical things that aren't true or politics or something offensive. I had somebody once who wanted to write a whole book on how they hated a certain celebrity. And I'm like, this is a bad idea. It was like an anti Dr. Oz book. And I'm like,
Uh,
we can't help you.
you're like, "That book is being written by several people all over the place right now. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to be adding to that."
Yeah. Or like what else? Anything that's gonna cause a legal issue where it's like, this is a sequel to this book that was written by someone else I don't own the copyright. That's also not a great one to work on.
Wow. So you get crazies that just kind of so you have to just feel that like, is there, like, a constant flow of people pitching that kind of stuff to you?
Well,
I would imagine there would be.
a lot of those don't have a really strong ROI, right? It's h- have you tested the market? Do you have a following? And so that's like a weak point right there, which is just in general, even if somebody had a really good idea, that'd be the part where we're like, ooh, you should really make this stronger before we put a bunch of money into it. Sometimes people want the book and they're like, and then I'm gonna form a whole business around it. It's like you're better off with the business first. Like if you want to step
Yeah.
into this thing, it's like go make money on it. Get the target audience, like, start
Yeah.
having some revenue come in, test it.
Proof of concept.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow, that's interesting because, I mean, that like, I was actually thinking last night, I was thinking about entrepreneurship as someone as I am wont to do, and I was thinking about how, like, the difference between, like, somebody who bought a business and that they didn't have, that they didn't build or they didn't, you know, they just bought a business. Like, is that person an entrepreneur? That person just owns a business. They didn't start the business. They didn't come up with the idea. They didn't. I'm just curious that, like, would you consider that person an entrepreneur? But that really wasn't the thing. I was really thinking about, like, how unbelievably hard and lonely it is, and the things that you think it's going to be are always different. Like, the idea of
Mhm.
writing a book about the business that I wanted to make and then going and making the business, I guarantee you those are 2 different things. They will
Yeah.
not come out the same.
Yeah,
Because once
totally.
you've done it, that's the part that, you've been doing this for 15 years. What like, when the beginning of this, like, were you scared? Or, I mean, how do like, I feel like that would be a big leap of faith. Be like, "Hi, guys, I'm gonna be a ghostwriter. Uh, come
Yeah.
scare me."
It was weird. By that point, I, like, just hated my full-time job so much. I wrote the book for the CEO. He sold the company afterwards. He left, became a professional public speaker. The company was bought by private equity. It totally changed, and so I was only, like, young at the time. I was, like, in my 20s, and I didn't wanna work there anymore anyway, and so I thought, "Okay, I'll quit this job. I'll try starting my own business." Actually, I started my own business on the side first. I started on the side and then I kept working that job. And then at one point I was like, I think I could build I'm at a point where I can't build the business anymore without quitting the job. And I didn't wanna work there. So I quit the job, and I thought if this whole thing with running my own business doesn't work out, it's not really a loss because I didn't want that job anyway. So I'll just go back and find another job at some point. And I was lucky enough to not have to do that.
So how did you get your first client?
My CEO was kinda like a sponsor to
Oh,
me. Like,
yeah.
they talk about, like, mentors, but it was, like, more than that. Like, he really was so helpful with
Oh, the
introducing me to
mentor, the
people.
guy you wrote the book for, the first
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, and the funny thing about having speakers as clients is they meet a ton of people, and when they're talking about their book, people always come up to them after and say, like, "Ugh, I'm interested in writing a book. What was it like?" And so it's been such a good source for referrals over the years from all my clients. Like, I didn't do any marketing for my business for, like, probably the first at least, like, 8 years. It was 100% word of mouth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I guess that means you have to bring on people to ghostwrite for
Yeah,
you.
I was kinda slow about that, to be honest. Like, it's hard when you don't know. I didn't go to business school. I don't know how to grow a business. I started writing books about it and learning a ton from clients. But the thing that really hit me was when I had my daughter and I realized that the business couldn't really run without me. And so I had basically created a job for myself rather than a functioning company. I have
Mhm.
no maternity leave, right? And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I see the whole reason why people want to scale because up until that, I was like, I don't know if I want to scale. I don't know if I want to like manage a bunch of people. Like I'm making enough money. I'm happy now. It's fine. And then I was like, oh, this is why this doesn't work. So ever since then, I've been so much better about getting systems in place, getting things out of my head, and get it actually organized as a business. So it's not just me. it
How did you deal with maternity leave working for
was
yourself?
it was a shit show. I think I took maybe like a month and a half off, maybe not even quite that much, and then I went back like a few hours a day, and
Mhm.
yeah,
That sucks. It's like the thing that no one really thinks about. Like, especially, I mean, men don't have to think about it. But when women start businesses, it's, I mean, that is that's how I mean, I had been scaling pretty much from almost the beginning, like with Toast and Jam, because I started getting more leads than I could handle like almost immediately. And
that's
I was
great.
able to kind of, yeah, I mean, it was weird. It was, like I was a breath of fresh air, I think, in the industry when I came in and I looked different and I felt different and I was different, quite frankly. And I think that really obviously helped me. But I had other DJs working for me, but they were just working for me. They weren't like running the show. So it was just like more people that I was managing. And it wasn't until I got married and I wanted to take a honeymoon. I wanted like 2 weeks off. I wanted to like not think about work for 2 weeks. And that was the thing that really got me kinda going, and then when I had maternity leave, I was able to take a real maternity leave as a result of that because I had people in place. But it's true, but I had to, like, have my honeymoon be the thing that freaked me out enough to get another person in there so that I could take time and not have to be in this place all the time.
Yeah, it sounds so simple, but getting your whole business to run without you for an extended period of time is very difficult.
Yeah. But once you do it, I mean, being on the other side of it, like, it doesn't truly end. I mean, you still wind up getting calls about things I mean, it's not like I mean, it's mostly stuff that's like I would like to pawn off on other people too. So it's like I get why I'm getting brought in on some of this stuff that kind of sucks. And nothing fun. I'm never being brought in on fun stuff. I'm always getting brought in on stuff that's not fun. And there's never an end to the unfun stuff of running a business. Do you have full-time employees?
Not yet. I have like 20 freelancers. At one point I had like almost 40, which felt like way too much. And I was because they do so many different things, right? We're doing more marketing back then. So I had um copywriters, I had website developers, graphic designers, and then I had ghostwriters, people who specialize in developmental editing, people who specialize in copy editing, that's like sentence level, and then we help people publish. So I have proofreaders and cover designers, people that do interior layout, people that do audiobooks. Then I had the internal people where they're project managers. then the accountant, I've got a fractional CFO, I have an assistant. Like, they all
Yeah.
do their own thing, and so, collectively, I should have a couple full-time employees based on, how much I'm paying, but
Mhm.
figuring out how to funnel that all into one job that makes sense has been difficult.
Well, and finding that person is all it's not so much the job, it's finding the one person that can do all those things, which I think is, like, the business owners, like, I don't know, the dilemma. They just need this person that doesn't exist, and I keep trying to get it so that people and it's not that I'm trying to save money, it's more like I can't have more people around me. Like, it's like, I
Yes.
don't know. It's like and also I can do 80 million things. Like, I can do everything. Like, why
Yeah.
can't you do everything? And it's
Yep,
like,
I get
"Oh, you're
that.
a different person from me." You're also not the owner. Like, I also assume everybody cares about it the way that I care about it, and, they don't, and they shouldn't. That's that's the
Yeah.
the harsh part of it is you have this thing that you love, this I mean, it's such a cool business being a ghostwriter. Like, it's like you're a secret, weapon or something. Uh And I'm sure that whenever you tell somebody what you do, you get good reaction, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's one of those jobs where people are like, "Oh!" It's like it's something that they haven't thought about in a long time, or maybe they've, never met someone who does that, which also helps me because then if they hear of anybody who is interested in writing a book, they're like, "Wait, I just met a ghostwriter." And so that's
Yeah.
how I get so many, referrals. I think there's more of us now, um, but yeah, just funny how that works. But yeah, going back to the figuring out your first full-time person or how you're hiring people. Um, I know that you were working with the EOS
Yes.
consultant.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. So that's when we connected most recently was at the 10K SB happy
Yes.
hour. Yes. I,
Amelia is also a graduate of the 10,000 Small Businesses, one of many of you that have been on my show. Like, I have that 10 KSB, man.
yeah.
I don't ever be able to really, fully let them know how much I love them.
It has been I also love 10KSB. It's just so nice to be around other people who get it and understand what you're going through. But the entrepreneurial operating system is something that helps so many small businesses. And I'd written about it in books before and sort of halfway tried to implement it, but never really had an accountability partner. And I realized what I'm really missing is my integrator, which is the
Mhm.
person where usually the owner is quote unquote the visionary. So you have all the
Mhm.
ideas and you have so many ideas that you don't have time to implement all of them and figure out how to do that. And this person is the one that makes all the things run. And that is the person that I still need.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, my integrator is also doing everything else, so, I mean, so
Yeah.
but I do think it's, yeah, EOS has been the best thing that's ever happened to my business, and I wouldn't have EOS if it wasn't really for 10KSB because I had been given traction, I had been you read traction and you're like, "This all makes so much sense. God, this is what I should be doing." But you don't read it's so hard to just turn the entire cruise ship around and have everybody on board doing a whole new way of doing things, and, it's like I don't know, when you one of the things that I've come to realize is that, when I started my business and when you're young and you don't know what you're doing and you're kind of just making it up, it's like so easy to be idealistic and kind of get people to kind of go along to get along. But then the further you get into actually the nuts and bolts of the business and, all the stupid stuff you have to do that has nothing to do with you, like I don't know, like exit signs on your retail store that you didn't think about, and it's like you get busted over these things where you're like, "I okay, like, the door's right there. I think they probably know where it's at, but I get why I need this, but, this isn't" I hate how regulation has to fall on everybody the exact same way when everybody isn't this I'm not I so I think exit signs are important. I don't wanna sit here and say that, an exit sign isn't important, but if you, walk into a store that's, 400 square feet and there's only one door, like, you know where the exit is.
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
and so having to do all that stuff makes the actual nuts and bolts of being a business owner kind of a heavy cross to bear.
Yeah, getting into the nitty-gritty is generally, like, not a good use of time for an owner, but the nitty-gritty has to be done, so somebody's gotta do it.
Mhm.
So you have to find that person who's detail-oriented and can think, like, do good critical thinking
About
and, like
in your way of doing it too,
yeah, and then just present the
like,
idea to be
getting
like, "Yeah, here's what I think we should do," and you're like, "Great, do it."
yeah, but can you? I mean, that's the thing is getting people to execute, especially, like, because there's a voice. I mean, you're trying to, I guess, take on the voice of the person that you're writing for, which I think that's interesting. Do you feel like you're kind of creating the voice, or are you using your own
Um
voice? Like,
Yeah,
it
for
could
the
someone read
writing
every
part?
book?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, that part always has felt easy to me, like figuring out how to write in somebody's voice because it really should just sound like how they talk. So if I talk to them for long enough, I understand what it sounds like, and probably want it to sound just slightly more polished on the paper, right?
Mhm.
So that part has been, and all of that just adjusts a little bit for each person. Like maybe it's shorter stories or longer stories. It's more formal or it's more casual. It has run on sentences or doesn't. Like all that has been like very intuitive.
Um, so can you, like, read a book and know it was ghostwritten? Like, is that
Hmm.
can you tell it? Is that the thing you can tell just by looking at her?
Well, not necessarily by like reading it, but by thinking about the person and thinking logically if they wrote it. And that's usually like a celebrity, right? So like Paris
Did
Hilton
line
has
Yeah, that's like
yeah, she she has a great book. Her memoir is fantastic. And she had a ghostwriter and from reading that book, I know that ghostwriter had her work cut out for her because Paris talks about how she's ADD, she's all over the place, and the voice says that. Like she says that directly in the book, and she'll like go to this idea and come back to this one, and so I said the ghostwriter totally channeled her, and I'm also like, there's no way she wrote it herself. Not saying she's not smart enough. I'm sure if she wanted to and she put her time into it, she could totally do it. Does she want to do that? No. Why would she want to do that? That's like not what her expertise is, right? Like, so I think it's more about
yeah.
does the celebrity have better things to do with their time that they're better at than writing a book? And they probably use a ghostwriter.
Yeah, I remember when Britney's book came out, and, I mean, it was the most obviously ghostwritten thing in the world, but I loved every stinking moment of it. She probably was a nightmare to work with on her book. But yeah, I mean, so, like, Brené Brown probably wrote all of her books.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. I mean, sometimes people have like there's so many different ways that you can get help. You can get help with like the outline and the structure. Everyone needs an editor, and she's working with traditional publishers, so like she's not going to just write the book and they're going to print it. Like she's going to have an editor. She might even have a literary agent who gets in and helps with her the proposals and that kind of thing. It just depends on how messy things are, right? How much support people end up needing. So,
Messy. What's messy?
like how messy the writing is. Sometimes, um, I don't want to put like academics in the hot spot here, but maybe I do. People who are really, really smart sometimes have like very messy writing where
Mm.
they're trying to make it appealing to the average person, but there's too much. Like a lot of research, a lot of things that don't need to be in there. Um, and sometimes it can be all over the place. A lot of entrepreneurs also are ADD and things are all over the place. Um, if you don't have a good outline, you can easily circle back on the same points over and over. That's messy. So I've actually found the people that are tend to be the easiest to work with. Guess. Do you want to guess? There's
The
one
easiest people
profession
to
best, yeah, who come up with very I think like easy to work with in terms of like good for ghostwriting. They come up with like surprisingly good drafts.
Can I get a hint?
It's a function
Can I get a hint?
in every in every company has this function. They're
Um,
good with people,
adminis administrators?
salespeople.
A Salespeople.
Yeah, they're good
Salespeople write good
communicators.
books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good. They're especially good for interviewing them. So if I'm writing a book for someone that's good at sales, someone who's good at sales, they're going to be a good client. Like I know that.
And so but, I mean, like, are they sales books where they're, like, teaching you, like, how to sell more? I mean,
Doesn't have to be
hasn't
a
that book
sales
been
book. No, doesn't have to be a sales book, but
okay.
if the person has a good background in communicating and explaining things, especially like one-on-one, that's really what the job is when we get on these
Mhm.
interviews where I'm like, tell me how this works. And they're able to go through and talk about it. Sometimes we get on calls and people are so flustered. They're like, it's hard for them to even articulate how they feel about something or how it's hard for them to get all of it out of their head and into the
Yeah.
conversation. And that makes it harder to write for people like that.
And I mean, my just speaking from myself, my own experience when I think about these things, I go through the whole cycle of no one cares about what I have to say. Like what I say is stupid. Actually, maybe I've got some good ideas, and I kind of like, well, actually, I'm entertaining. I can tell good stories, and then I'm back to, but no one care. Like, no, who still, I tell a good story. Does anybody care? And so it's like I talk myself out of the idea that I wanna put forth, or I'm so afraid of saying it in the wrong way or being
Yeah.
misrepresented that I don't say anything at all.
Yeah. I want everyone to know that that is the hardest part about writing a book. It's not actually writing it. It's
Mm. Is
all the
ego?
emotional stuff, all the imposter syndrome, and the going back and forth on it, and the feeling the weight of it on your shoulders where you're stressed about it or you aren't sure how it's gonna be received. All of that stuff is so much more taxing than actually just, like, putting the work in and getting the words on paper.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I mean, I mean, someday maybe you will help me write a book. I would like to have one just in the same I'd like to say I mean, I know I've got the information. Like, what would you so other than salespeople, like, what are who like, do you think everyone has a book in them?
Um, I think there's a stat that something like 92% of people think they have a book in them. So, maybe and that's not always about them. Maybe it's a children's book or a romance novel or something like that. But a lot of people do wanna write a book, and it's it's doable.
I think that for me, I've been, I pinned my own number in my cell phone, like in my contacts, in the messages area, and then I just text myself ideas that when I figured I could do that, that's actually changed a lot of my information and thought gathering is I just text myself things, and I feel like that is like an ADD accommodation is me realizing that I can just speak things, like and I wonder how many people, like, didn't write things because they, like, were bad typers.
Yeah, the talk to text option, I think has totally changed people's lives with being able to write because there are so many people who are great speakers, but not confident, good writers. And so if they're able to talk their book, that works great for us. We've had multiple clients do that where
Mhm.
maybe they do it while they're walking their dog or they just do like the one-off note
Mm.
and then they take it and they copy and paste it. And of course, now you can use like Otter or something like that, one of the transcriptions that makes it easy. But you can totally talk your book.
Mhm.
It's also good to. We've had a client. This was years ago, but who was quadriplegic, and he can't type. He can't physically type, and so being able to talk your book definitely opens it up to make it more accessible for everyone. So
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of amazing. I mean, it's like if just to have somebody to, like, who knows what they're doing and it's I mean, you said it was expensive, how what is the a range for what it costs to hire a ghostwriter?
well, there's a huge range. That's the part that's so confusing for people. You can always find it for really cheap for people who have no experience and are just trying to do it as like a starting point, or people who are maybe not located in the US. There's different ways that you could get a cheaper product. It's not always, um, might not always be what you want to do it that way or to go with somebody who has, no experience or um, that can be tricky. The mid-range is sort of like a wide range. Like we talked about Paris Hilton's ghostwriter, and other celebrity ghostwriters. They're making hundreds of thousands, like
Oh.
more than 300,000, 400,000 for writing that. And for some of these people, they're working on it for like a year and a half. That's like the thing that they're working on. So it can be a ton of work depending on what client you're working with, how much information they have, how deep you want to go. Sometimes people work on a book for years trying to like piece together all the details of someone's life. If it's a shorter thought leadership book and the client's organized and has all their content together, maybe that's an easier project. But I think for a book, like you're probably looking at like 50 grand, 100 grand for an experienced ghostwriter. Um, it's time
So that's
consuming.
that's what you charge. You charge $100,000 for people to write books for people?
Depending on the book, we do. Yeah, it can definitely be lower than that. Like, sometimes it could be, like, 30 grand or 40 grand if it's a shorter book and it's not as complex. Um, but there are a lot of factors that can make it really complicated. So it just depends.
So so when these people are buying your services, are they, like, taking out a loan or are they I mean, it'd be crazy for me to think about dropping, like, $50,000 on a book right now, like, that I with cash,
Yeah. So
yeah.
some of these people are booking speaking engagements where they're making 20 grand a piece, and they have 80 of them a year. We have one of those clients. We were also working with executives that are making like, I don't know, more than 1 million a year, or entrepreneurs who sold their company for 100 million. So, we have a couple of those. So we're not really working with too many people um, that are on a strict budget, but some of our clients
Mhm.
are, right? And so I think that is kind of good why um, if you can work with AI to make the process more accessible, where you can write and have AI maybe edit it a little bit along the way, it can make it cheaper for people. Like, I think you need a human for the outline. I have really worked with AI extensively to try to do book outlines, and I have not seen AI be able to do that yet. It'll put something together that's going to cause problems later. So if you can work with a human for strategy and outlining, and then follow a really good outline and at least get content mostly in the right spot, get words on paper, and then work with a human again for editing it, it can be much less expensive.
Like a situation like that, is that, like, $10,000 or more than that?
Yeah, for outlining, we're usually at 6,500 for the strategy. Yeah, strategy and outlining. And then for developmental editing, it depends on the word count, but maybe it's like, I don't know, 15 grand, 20 grand,
What's the
something like
difference
that.
between what's developmental editing?
Yeah, that's big picture edits. So that's going through the whole thing and talking about the clarity is a big one. Like, does this make sense? Are there
Mhm.
certain areas that need to be fleshed out? Are there certain things that are repetitive? Should this chapter get moved over here? What's the voice like? Are we talking to the target audience correctly? Is it positioned properly? How are the transitions? What about the interviews? Like, you go through the whole thing, and it's a more intense edit, and
Mhm.
everyone needs that. When an author has a book deal, the publisher provides that. Like, everyone needs that part for the book. So, and that's what I was saying, like, if it's messy, it's gonna be more work. If it's really
Mhm.
clean, this might be a more streamlined, less expensive process.
So, like, an editor, like, because you always hear authors thanking their editors, like, they're always like, "My editor's my best friend." Like, how do you what so is the editor just literally just they're just proofreading and, like, tightening up, like I mean, I don't really understand, I don't like, how do you go to school to be an editor? Like, what is an editor? Now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Editor's not a proofreader, that's totally different. Um, when we're editing books, I won't even correct typos, like, that's way down the line. I won't even spend time on that. If I even see it, it's not worth my time to even flag that at the point where I'm looking at, like, the bigger picture things. But they're good with writing mechanics. They're good at, like, understanding the flow of a piece and how to untangle ideas and how to get the idea across. Um, they're also good at knowing, like, what the market wants, what's popular right now, what has done well. So they're really guiding the work, trying to make it as successful as possible, and then analyzing the writing and then trying to figure out how to improve it. So it's it's an important job for sure, and it's something where even if you're a great writer, you need that person.
It sounds like a dream job.
It's a hard job.
Is it? I feel like I'd have a really fun time doing that. When I was in
Yeah?
when I was in you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come work for you now." When I was in college, I was the, I was like I guess I was the editor from, like, my floor in my dorm, and people would bring me their papers, and I would just cover them in red ink, and
That's
then they
what
would
it
always get
is.
better grades.
Yeah, that's what it is. So the editing part, I actually don't love that. I used to do a lot of editing and I don't anymore. I focus more on the strategy and the outlining and the writing. And the people on my team are the developmental editors. I think I'm just slow at it. It's tedious to me. I'll read it and I'll be like, this is wrong. And to correct it, it's like takes me forever to do it. Like I can see why it's like not working. But there are people on my team who are so good at it. So it really is like a niche. And the people that do that editing, they don't always like ghostwriting. So sometimes I'll have a project
Mhm.
where it needs editing and ghostwriting, and someone will be like, I'm not a writer. That's how I feel about editing. I'm like, I'm not editing this. Like, give it to someone who's really good at
I
that.
just get the ideas on the paper.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool. This is, like, so cool, like, what you do. What does your daughter think of it? Like, how old is she?
She's 8.
Like, does she understand what you do?
Sort of. We sat down and wrote a book when she was really little. So I was like, oh, I think she gets it. Like she wrote it out by hand and on paper and drew all the pictures. And so I think she gets it to some degree. But she mostly likes to meet my clients because a lot of them are like she thinks they're fancy or they've got like cool stuff going on. So like this weekend we're going to meet with a memoir client of mine who has a big house out in Colorado, big pool, and he's got like a horse that she can ride, and like that's the part that she thinks is cool.
Getting flown to Colorado to, like, talk to a guy on his ranch sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is fun. We met earlier, I think in February or March, and we went skiing in Aspen, because he used to ski a lot, and so we did interviewing like slopeside, and that was nice. Mhm.
Are they that is that normal to get that kind of treatment? I might have to be I wanna become a ghostwriter.
Yeah, it's funny. It's better when the author feels comfortable to talk about everything, and you wanna make it pleasant for them. That's the experience, right? Like, if they don't wanna sit in front of the computer all the time, this person in particular, like, he needs to move around, and so he came out here to, visit me when we were working on the book, and he kept pacing around my house, and I had the transcription going. I'm like, "I cannot hear you when you're across the room."
Mhm.
A walking pad. I set that up for him and I put him on the walking pad. I'm like, you could walk, but you're gonna stay right here so I can hear you with the recording. But like sometimes you have to get people like moving and I don't know, it's funny.
That's really cool though to recognize to recognize that that's, like, a thing. Like, my husband is a pacer, and, like, when we have calls together where we're really talking to someone, and he's just, like, walking away, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And it's just part of his process. He, like, has to kind of walk while he's thinking about things, and, I mean,
People
that's
are like that for
probably some
sure.
yes, some neurodivergence. Well, this has been amazing to talk to you and learn all about
uh,
this process because it's such a I don't know, it's like a mystery. Like I think the most people usually know about ghostwriters are like that Donald Trump one had one for the art of the deal. Because
mm,
I always feel like his ghostwriters always being like interviewed about, how much of society's decline he helped create. I don't think that's really
God.
what I don't really think that's what they're interviewing him about, but it's true.
So many people have ghostwriters. Like if you see a celebrity book, a celebrity, quote unquote, if you see someone has a book and they're good at something other than writing, they probably had help writing to some degree. You know, if it's a cookbook or it's a book on any kind of how-to business, whatever, they probably had help. If it's good, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. You can't be good at everything.
No, and you shouldn't try.
No
It's
matter
probably just not a great use of time.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. Well, so is there anything you want to promote here? If someone was interested in writing a book, what would you have them do at this point?
Yeah. Check us out, pithywordsmithery.com. And our handles, we're on all the socials, pithy_wordsmithery. My name's Amelia Forczak. I'm very Googleable. What else? We're doing a retreat, a writing retreat in Italy in October.
Oh,
We still have a couple spots left. And I think this is going to be something we start doing annually because it's awesome. People love writing
what it
retreats.
what is it? What's a writing retreat?
So A lot of people want to work on their book, but they just can't set aside the time, and it starts to feel unpleasant, right? To have to like want to do this thing. So it's like, how about we actually just make this nice? Why don't we go somewhere great? We'll get a fancy villa. We'll get great food. We'll do wine tasting. We'll have a great curated group of people. It'll be an awesome experience. And we're going to have plenty of time to write one on one. And then we're also like sitting there with people, helping them. Um,
Mhm.
and so they're not doing it alone. We do group sessions. And so it's just making the whole thing very like palatable for something that can feel very stressful or like a chore.
Have you done it before? Have you had a retreat before?
No, it's our first one. So I have a
Oh my
co-host, and it's kind of weird like hosting the first retreat because you're like planning a party and you're wondering if anyone's going to come. But
Mhm.
people are, so that's great.
Mhm.
And we'll just get more momentum because now that we have had the word out, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I want to do it, but I can't do it this year. Let me know about next year." And so maybe I don't know if we'll do it in Italy every year, or we'll hop around and do like a domestic like one, or but it seems to be very popular so far, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool idea. I mean, can you I mean, I bet you someone will complete a whole book on that just by having, like, time where they don't have to, like, walk their dog or deal with their kids or whatever, like, just
Mhm.
all the things that take you away from being able to pull anything off.
Yeah. For big projects like that, you really have to keep the vibes high so that you feel good and you keep going. That's like the name of the game.
Vibe creation.
Yes.
Good vibes only. That's
Yes.
amazing. Where in Italy are you going?
It's in Chianti. So in the Tuscany region, it's like 20 minutes from Florence. We'll be doing little day trips around the area. And I heard that right next to the villa, like we can just walk next door and do wine tasting and olive oil tasting. Like that sounds like heaven.
Yeah, Italy is amazing. It
Mhm.
really is. Especially that area, Florence. I mean, I've been there. I mean, I've once. It's not like I've really know much about it, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Well, thanks so much for being on with us, and I'm probably going to see you when you're ghostwriting my book.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to All Up in My Lady Business with me, Mary Nisi. We'd love for you to like, review, subscribe, follow us at All Up in My Lady Business on the gram. And if you're a female identifying person and you want to dance, you can follow. I mean, everybody can follow it, but if you want to be a part of the magic at Hot Flash Dance Party, sign up for the mailing list to find out where our next party is going to be. And if you are looking for a DJ in the Chicagoland area or anywhere else, money's the same color everywhere. Fly us out. ToastandJamDJs.com has the best. And listen to my radio show. I have a radio show on Chirp Radio at chirpradio.org. That's Mondays, every Monday from 12 until 3 p.m. CST. Today's episode is produced by Shiraz Dada. Theme song composed and performed by, you guessed it, Shiraz Dada. All right, guys. Peace out.